everyone. Welcome to the ROCKSTARS Hangout with Mr. Reezy Resells. We are just chatting. It's funny. We both started our YouTube channels about the same time, so it's been fun to watch the growth of both of those.
He's winning.
Not by much, though. So I figured I like to do basically anything it takes to get experts in different fields onto the ROCKSTARS group. If you're not on our Facebook page, drop just check below on the YouTube and you'll see our links directly to the ROCKSTARS group. Reezy's got a group too. I'll drop his link below here afterwards, hook up all of his information. I like to bring people, the experts. So we had a lot of people asking about books, and I thought, who better to do than somebody who got shouted out by Gary Vee himself on that Periscope. I love that you took that snippet for your YouTube intro. It's awesome. Especially, I'm a little biased because I got to see Gary live a few months ago, so it's still fresh in my mind.
Oh, he's the man. Gary Vee is
awesome.
the reason. He's the reason I'm on YouTube by far, and Snapchat.
Yeah, he's just awesome. So without further ado, I'm going to kick this thing over. We're going to kind of go back and forth. If you are in the live call right now, use the chat option and you can drop all your book related questions below, and we'll be sure. I'm going to be kind of moderating those and kicking questions over to Mr. Reezy, and we'll go from there. So brother, it's all yours. If you want to hear a little bit about yourself, background.
I see some good questions over here in the chat, so if those get pushed off and we don't answer them, just put them on there again. That way it can come back to my attention. Really briefly, I've been selling books on Amazon full-time for 10 years. When I started out, before that, I was selling stuff on Amazon. When I was like 15, 14, I don't know, my younger brother actually started telling me about eBay, and he was selling everything in our house, and that my mom would let him. And he sold his Nintendo, and then he noticed that the guy that bought it took all the stuff and was breaking bulk. He was selling controllers, games, whatever. So then I got into breaking bulk on eBay. I was buying stuff on garage sales or on eBay and then selling individual parts and pieces or whatever. And so I knew about reselling, and I'd always been a hustler. And then how did I come into contact with books? I started developing a love for reading these Star Wars books, and I read a bunch of them. And then I went to I was buying them when they came out brand new, and I had so many of them, and I was done with the series. And I was like, I wonder if I could sell these on eBay. And I didn't think it would go for anything. Just, used books, 15 of them that I had bought for like $8 a piece, brand new mass market paperbacks. And so I started it for like a penny on eBay, and it went for like 75% of the retail price. And I was blown away. And right there was when I learned that you could sell books, used books for money. But I didn't know about Amazon really yet. And I wasn't really focused on books. Later in life, sorting, like a few years later, I was find stuff to sell on eBay, and I would occasionally see people with some kind of scanning device looking at books. And I had already knew books were worth money, but I, had no idea how to look them all up. And like, I didn't even know what an ISBN was really or anything. And, but once I saw these people using these laser beams, I was like, right away, I was like, okay, barcode readers, laser beams are not cheap. So these things, these guys have to be making money. So I just started pressing people when I saw them, like, hey, what are you doing? What app are you using or whatever? And at the time, people were using PDAs, and no one would want to tell me anything. They would act like it was like some CIA secret op. And that only like spurred me more to be like, wow, they must be just like really killing it. And I never really knew what was going on, but I eventually found some good sources of books where I could get books for fairly cheap enough to where I didn't care to have all the right tools, because it was just cheap enough to take the risk. So I started buying books blind, and I actually started doing good enough. Like, I would just buy bags of books and take them home and then look them up on Amazon. And so I had found out it was Amazon actually or whatnot, but I didn't really know anything, but I was doing good enough. I guess I just lucked out to quit my part-time job. My wife was still working full-time at the time. And then So I just kept going at it brute force like that. And eventually I ran into this old lady who was scanning books at a thrift store. And I asked her the same thing I asked everyone else. And she just told me right away. She was like, oh, I'm using the seller tool. And that was it. Boom. Like from there, I found everything. I had spent hours and hours on the computer researching, like, what are these book people doing? I didn't know it was called book scouting or sourcing for books. And there was probably only like one book published at the time about how to sell books on Amazon. And at the time, I didn't even really realize you could read books about learning how to sell stuff or anything like that. I was like really naive. But as soon as I found out about a seller tool, I probably stayed up for 2 days straight, reading everything I could find on the internet, signed up, and then got a PDA and started scanning books. And from there, the rest was history. That was back in the merchant fulfilled days before they were letting us sell on FBA. And then when FBA came out, we realized the benefit really quickly and kind of had to jump on market from everyone else, because I think we were doing FBA for like three or 4 years before anyone else really started to do it. And when everyone started to go in, they went, one step at a time, and we just went like balls deep on everything. We weren't scared to send high rank books. We weren't scared to send heavy books, and then obviously as time went on, more people realize, and it's more of a competitive marketplace. But for a long time, we were buying books that our competitors were not even interested in, because they were like, oh, those are selling for a penny. And I'm like, well, the rank is amazing, and the FBA offers and prices are great, but no one knew about FBA really yet. So fast forward to, seems like a really winded explanation, but fast forward to, it just grew and grew. My wife was helping me. Eventually we started making enough money, and it was enough work for us that she was able to quit her job. Then we started having friends help us. Then FBA revolutionized it, because we didn't have to do merchant fulfilled books anymore, which was a huge drain on our time. And eventually I ended up partnering with my best friend from high school named Scott Gall. I taught maybe 10 of my friends in high school that I went to high school with about the book hustle, and maybe only 2 of them actually were responsible enough to keep it going and have been doing it for about 10 years. And so I ended up partnering with Scott about 4 years ago, just because we realized the strength in numbers of having 2 heads working on one business. And also, you have a network of sources and suppliers, and so do I. And, when mine's good, yours is bad, or whatever, et cetera, we can help each other out. And then from there, we've just been doing it as best as we can. We're operating in 3 locations, 3 different states, 3 warehouses, we like to say, but really it's just 2 garages and a large storage unit. And we have, including me and Scott, we have a total of 5 employees. But I think that's pretty much it. Do you have anything?
Dude, that is awesome. I love the fact that, we were talking about this before we invited people in here, but, I connected with this dude watching his videos. He had never seen mine, doesn't know, who I am or anything. But I connected with him because I saw like that hustle. Right? And anyone who knows me from the Rockstars knows I'm all about the grind and the hustle. And the fact that you literally went in this with nothing, right? You had an old lady tell you it's an app, and you said done. The fact that you literally, that's the definition of hustle, is taking an opportunity and just going out and doing it. You learned through trial and error. And that's something I'm huge on promoting, because everyone's looking for like the secret recipe, right? They're looking for that perfect ebook that's going to lay out the entire business for them, and it's not there. You can learn some tips and tricks and all that fun stuff, but your business doesn't grow unless you work it, and that comes through trial and error. So I love that
the other half of that is that just depending on how you're wired, and I think everyone's wired a little bit this way, is that I think you learn best when it's a hard lesson, when you waste your time, when you waste your money, when you lose out, you remember those lessons. And so I think that even if I teach you all the lessons, it's so easy for you if you're not putting it into practice regularly, or if you're just not that type of person, some people are more inclined to absorb it through me telling you, and others through learning, their own way. But I'm pretty sure everyone learns from the hard way.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And just like you said, you taught 10 of your friends exactly what to do, and only 2 of them did it.
Right. Well, no, all 10 of them did it, but
Okay.
7 or 8 of them ended up with banned from Amazon for stupid things like not fulfilling orders.
Okay. And quick reminder for everyone on the live, if you want to mute your lines, just so we can minimize feedback on that. Cool. So before I hammer into, we got a line of questions I'm going to give out to you. I figure we'll just start with the bare bones basics because a lot of people maybe haven't gone into books at all yet, or they've done just a few like myself. We had access to a load of 5,000 books from another seller that had basically shut down her whole business. And she got all of her books shipped back to her. So we got to cherry pick our favorite ones. So we picked out about 1,000 of that load. So I've done a few, but I still have questions on top of my head. So like for yourself, do you have a specific rank that you try to stay underneath? You mentioned that you do go above and beyond what normal people do.
So this is a hard question because there's not really a hard answer. And so like the far scale of it is that, and this is, I have to figure out a way to explain this properly because I feel like the way that if you don't explain it properly, you're really going to put beginners at a disadvantage. So books with no sales rank, meaning they've never ever sold a copy. When you scan it, no sales rank comes up. Those sell sometimes, right? But you can't take that information and just be like, oh yeah, Reezy says all books with no sales rank, they're going to sell, so good luck with your long-term storage fees. But so for me, I'll buy a book that has no rank to sell to send into Amazon, but it has to be worth solid money, like merchant fulfilled price, $40. And I have to be feeling good about it, meaning, the topic is in line with what I think someone would pay $40 for. It's not a cat calendar from, 2012 or whatever. But generally, you'll hear a lot of people say, oh, books over 1 million rank don't sell. Not true. I actually followed that advice for a year, my first year of selling, and probably lost $1 million. Not 1 million, but a lot of books. Probably threw away 50,000 books that I could have sold because back then there was so little competition. But 998,000, 1 million, million, I would just toss it. It was so stupid. But what you need to know is that rank is not static. It changes all the time. Books are very high beta. I think that's a stock term, and it means that the rank fluctuates a lot. A little bit of action messes with the rank a lot. So a book can have a rank of 3 million today, and it sells 1 copy, and it's going to shoot down to 100,000 and then be traveling on its way back up to 3 million. So depending on where it's at when you scan it, it doesn't really mean too much. Even if you have average rank, which is available on FBA Scan, it's currently only for the last 90 days. So even that is not the full picture. But what you want to do is if you have a high ranking book that you think is a topic that will sell, because no matter what it says it's worth, if the rank's high enough, it might not sell. So open up the camel and look at the sales rank graph and see what the action is for the lifetime on the item. Sometimes there's no information there, and sometimes you just have to make a call. You don't have all the information, and hopefully that book is cheap enough for you to feel good about making that call. If it's not cheap enough, maybe you don't make that call, but I like to call Amazon my cheap casino because where else can you turn $1 into $50, So just like for rough rule, once it gets over 1 million rank, you want to start paying attention a lot more. Once it gets over 2 million, you really want to make sure it's a winner. Books over 3 million, they're not selling very often, far and few in between. The highest ranked book I've ever sold was like 5 or 7 million. I'm not sure. And I've heard of people selling books in like the 12 million rank. I don't list very many books in that high rank, so I'm sure that skews my results a little bit, and I'm not like verifying those sales or whatever, but it is what it is.
That's perfect. So follow-up question, like I said, I want to cover kind of the basics for the average newbie getting into books. So rank is a big one. The second one is when you walk into, let's say you go into a thrift store, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are the top 2 or 3 categories that you're looking for books? Are you looking for fiction, nonfiction? What would you think are the best?
Well, you're lucky if they have them sorted into categories. So generally it's not sorted. And that might be an indicator of them thinking, trying to charge more or something. I don't know. But generally it's not sorted. So generally you just go at it, and in the order of, if it was sorted, I would do textbooks, then nonfiction, then fiction. And inside of fiction, there's different categories that are worth, inside of nonfiction, categories that are worth, more or less. Even though I've been doing it for 10 years, I'm not really a big expert on, this category inside of nonfiction or that category. It's, the scanner does all the work. It knows, it has a database, right? So I don't have to know and memorize all that stuff. I'm just focused on scanning as much stuff as possible. But I mean, you'll begin to know, like health and spiritual, or diet books, cookbooks don't do very well. Not to saying there's not, that those few that do really well, but books that are generally about how to do something are going to be worth good money, because, you're buying essentially a skill. You're learning how to do something. History and biographies, those are all really good. People like to know, what's happened in the past. But I'm not really an expert on that specific what categories inside. You're at the book sale, everything's organized. Which section should you hit first? I'd say bring 5 people and hit them all.
No, that's perfect. I love the fact that you basically can just answer every question with like, I don't know, just go in and do it. Right?
Well, yeah, you'll figure it out.
Cool. Well, let's go ahead and start hammering through some of these questions that people have. Griffin says he went to a local book sale, found a textbook for $5 and sold it for $3.25 last week.
Boom.
That's incredible. That's
yeah.
Gems.
You're not going to get those kind of margins as if I don't know if you or your followers know who Greg Murphy is, but he kind of coined the term meth margins of books. And he's exactly right. You're not going to see those kind of margins with anything else. That's why, when everyone knows we sell mostly books. So if I post 100,000 in a month, it's actually exciting versus someone who does 90% wholesale that posts 100,000 screenshot. What's your wholesale ROI? 70%,
Yeah, for sure. Next question is, I guess this can be kind of a topic in its own. What's the most you have spent on a used book? And that can kind of tie in with what's your average buy cost look like? Are you looking to keep it underneath a certain dollar amount?
Definitely keeping it as low as possible. So our average buy cost is probably closer to 50 cents per book. But closer to we do a lot of bag sales at libraries and go to as many of those as possible. But I'll pay $30 for a book if I know it's going to bring $60 into my bank account. But that's far and few in between. I buy books for $4, $5 all the time, $7. These thrift stores are getting crazy. They're raising their prices higher and higher, man. Yeah, I swear they're scanning them and looking at the new prices and then basing their price off of that. But the one caveat to high prices is that just like it scares you, right? It scares everyone else. So I've heard people say, "Oh, that place, I stopped going there when they started charging $5 a book." And that's great, because then, you can go there and there's, go there once a week. Everyone's scared and you can buy up all the $20 books. You have to pay $5, but they're $20 books,
Awesome. Next up is all of the thrift stores within 2 hours around me scan their books. So I'm looking for alternative sources. Have you ever placed an ad and basically asking for books? And if so, what kind of response did you get?
Yes. So this is something that definitely works. Are you leaving? I'm sorry, guys.
No, go for it.
Okay, I'll see you when you get back. So I'm sorry, what was the question again?
If you've placed an ad and what kind of response?
Oh, okay, yeah. So I kind of been really lazy on this. I just do it on Craigslist and just have a running classified ad going on Craigslist. And I get a lot of response from it, but something I would recommend everyone to just keep it up, an ad running on Craigslist. There's also this, any of those types of community neighborly bulletin websites. There's one that's really cool called nextdoor.com. It's like a more neighborhood centric Craigslist or something. Like you'll sign up for it and you'll see your neighbor across the street posted last night whose dog won't shut the hell up. It's pretty cool. And so there's that. And then another tip that I advise people to do, which I did this completely wrong for well over 5 years, and that is, don't act like you're some kind of genius or like 007. You want to talk to people and tell them what you do. I mean, you don't have to tell them the secret sauce just to keep them well aware that you sell books, and just keep that in their head. You sell books, you're the book guy, and what are you doing? Blah, blah, blah books, and then when they think about books, or when they hear someone has some books, they're going to call you. And it's tremendous. Like my neighbors will leave boxes of books in my driveway. I don't even know. They don't contact me at all. Just boxes of books in my driveway.
All right.
So just get the word out. Advertise however you can. Craigslist, any free internet posts, talk to people. I've had the idea and never done it to make bumper stickers. Maybe get like a 1-800 number going or something. I don't know. Drive around to the laundromats and post it up on the Post-it boards, or just the more people that know that you sell books, the more books that are going to come to you, basically. So however you can advertise it, that's going to be great.
Dude, that is awesome. I love the fact that you brought up just being open about it. For those the rock stars in here know that's my number one mentality I've always had, is just be completely open and honest with people, especially when you're out scanning. You always get the eyeballs and looks.
Right.
I had the same thing happen where I had two – I'm also a massage therapist, so I had two of my clients. I show up at their house to do the massage, right? One of them had a stack of electronics saying, hey, I know you sell this kind of stuff. And I'm talking – there was 2 MacBooks. There was a DSLR, all this kind of cool stuff. So I love the fact that you touch base on just being open and honest.
Yep.
Next up is going to be, what is the name of your group?
Let me see if I can get the link real quick.
Oh, yeah, it looks like JJ dropped the name on there. Again, all this is going to be linked inside of the description of where this video is posted on YouTube. And on the Facebook post as well, I'll be sure to link everything up for you.
I think that should work.
Perfect.
Would love to see some of you guys in there. Come and make an introductory post. Yep. A lot of people just come in. I'll welcome in 100 people and no one says anything. And it's nice to get to know people, because I essentially know you based on one picture, your profile picture and your name, and if we don't have any interaction, and if you change your profile picture, Lord help me,
Looks like next up is going to be talking about apps. Do you use the Amazon Seller app? Do you have a specific app that you prefer? What's your take on that?
The app that I use and recommend for books is FBA Scan. So they were the first scanning app available on mobile. They are one of the only scanning apps that has database mode, which means you can download the data to your phone and have it available locally. So the results return 4 to 5 times faster than the best cell phone signal, not to mention when you're in grandpa's basement scanning his books where there is no signal, you'll actually be able to get the job done. So that's FBA Scan. If you use FBA Scan, there's a code you can use, TP Books 2, just all those letters that I just, TPBOOKS, then the number 2. And that will give me a small referral compensation after you stay with them for 3 months or something. I don't know. They're pretty laid back dudes over there. What else you were saying? There was other software questions, not just about scanning, right?
Yeah, that one's
the Amazon Seller app. So I do use the Amazon Seller app a lot. I'm sure everyone's aware of all the recent sky is falling, Chicken Little brand restriction, yada yada. which, I mean, it's going to happen, right? But just adapt to it. Don't whine about it. Adapt, and just know that the people that are whining, that's the competition you're getting ahead of, right?
Mm-hmm.
And but long before this whole recent escapade, it's always been a thing that when you sell products that you're not familiar with, you need to scan them with the Amazon seller app to make sure you're not restricted.
Mm-hmm.
So when you scan an item with the Amazon seller app, it will show you right on the screen, you are or you aren't allowed to sell this item. And they even have a button to list it. So you can even go one step further and, just make sure that you can list this item, because we all know there's nothing worse than getting home from what you thought was a great retail arbitrage haul only to have to do the walk of shame the next day to take some things back to the store.
Definitely been there myself. Yeah, what I'll do, I'll hit you up for your specific link for that affiliate code, and we'll be sure to drop that inside the comments,
Cool.
the description of the video, so you can get hooked up with that. Let's see, with all the new brand restrictions, is there a way this could affect used book sales?
So I've touched on this topic a little bit, and people have been saying, oh, wow, you sell books. That's great. You're restriction proof, you're in the brand restriction proof category. And it might seem like that. And it might probably is, I don't know. But there is a slight counterfeit issue with books, with textbooks specifically, high dollar textbooks. People are selling the international editions or even counterfeit international editions and just other counterfeit copies of books, and they're importing them from China and then selling them on Amazon FBA. And I don't know how rampant it is right now. Actually, nobody really knows because the copies are so good, and it's a book, right? So it's not like you would notice a different, you've never held that book or seen it before, so you have nothing to compare it against. So there's probably tons of counterfeit books in the mix already that no one, they're not aware of yet. So it's not completely blocked from restrictions. It can happen. They have counterfeit problems. It's just not in the limelight.
Awesome. And do you buy books by the pallet? You mentioned you do the bags at library sales. Do you do pallets, or do you prefer to do individually?
I prefer to get all the books I can get, but we have done pallets. We don't have any regular sources for pallets, but I will buy pallets of books if I have access to them.
And is that just kind of random stuff that you stumble upon? Do you have specific websites?
I have a auctioneer dude that runs an auction.
Right. So
when
you
he has,
watching this, and there's like clauses.
hey, mute your mic, bro.
You raise your hand, and they say, "Yeah."
Looks like I found it. There we go.
I have an auctioneer buddy that will sell us pallets of books. Whatever reason it was, books never did well at his auction. So for a long time, he's just contacted us when he gets books in, and then we just buy them, which is really cool because he likes the fact that we give him back all the stuff we don't want. So we'll go through 10,000 books and we'll leave 8,000 there, and he'll essentially sell those 8,000 at his auction for the same price he would have sold those 10,000 for, and he's just double dipping on them.
That's awesome. And that ties right back into another thing I preach heavily, which is relationship building. Relationships and connections, that's key in this whole thing.
Yeah, we don't have none of our spaces are really large enough to like take 20 Gaylords or to have a forklift or, we're not really in bulk business. So if we do pallets, we're breaking them down that day. Yeah, I look to getting towards there in this next year, though. Definitely interesting to me.
When checking Camel, how are you trying to correlate the data when average price doesn't directly relate to FBA prices versus merchant filled? Just sales rank graph, or what are you doing with that? Mostly
just I don't really look at the price history on Camel too much when I'm looking for books to decide to buy it or not. I just want to know that the demand is there. So if the rank is spiking, the amount that I would like to see, then the demand is there, and you can see how many offers are available and what the current prices are. So it's like supply and demand on steroids. I love it. Awesome. And are you using a KDC scanner, or what type of Bluetooth are you using? I have a few of the KDC 200i, I think they're called, Comtac. and those are super cheap, which is why I love those. But my favorite scanner is the Opticon OPN 2002, or I think the new one. I think that's older. The new ones are like 2004 or 5 or something. Be careful because some of them are just for data entry. They don't transmit barcodes. They just store them.
That's definitely good to know.
It sounds silly, but the reason that scanner costs like 3 times as much, but the reason why I like it, the form factor is exact same, is because the button is way better. The button, just the way it feels and everything, and it's silly, but you press that thing so many times.
Quality.
Yeah, I just grab whatever is available in the warehouse when I head out. That's why you'll see me using both of them.
And with that, another link, I usually say this because I watch the recording myself so I can not forget all this. I'm going to drop another link because I see him on here. Dean, who is kind of our hookup for KDC 200 Eyes. He sends those out $50 shipped.
Nice.
So we will get that link posted for you. It's also in our group files if you want to check that out.
Where's his supplier?
I know, right? We were talking back before, said, hey, I got some KDCs and they're refurbished, and I've been using mine for about 2 months now. Works fine. Yeah,
well, the other thing is the KDC, aside from the button, it's really just me being stupid because it's cheaper and the battery's user replaceable. The Opticon, you're not supposed to replace the battery, so you have to, know where to get them and know how to open it and put it in there and yada, yada, but whatever.
For textbooks, can you talk about checking to see if it's the most recent version, your process, and how concerned you are with this?
So textbooks generally come out in cycles of 4 years. And so you can just look in the publication date and find the most recent date. And if it's within, 1, 2, or 3 years ago, you got at least a year left before this thing starts devaluing. And some books are printed, I'm sure someone will correct me, some books are printed less frequently than every 4 years. But it's a good indicator to know, especially if you were looking at a book to be like, oh, wow, I could get 500 copies of this textbook, but lo and behold, the new edition's coming out, in 6 months. And so you're going to be left holding these books in your hands or having to liquidate them for much less price. But I think generally, if you're unsure, search the title on Amazon and just see, search for, if you have the 9th edition, search for the 10th edition, or just try and see if there's any more.
Awesome. Great tips on that one. How much, I know this is going to be an open, kind of a broad question, how much in a year could you say one could make in profit just off of books?
One person, if they work their ass off, and I mean, probably damn, there's like,
I know, right?
There's like there's 2 business models, right? So you could, I think it just depends on your supply, right? You could have access to, what's up, Scotty G? You could have access to a plentiful supply of textbooks. Like there's a gentleman named Stuart G. Honeck who I admire. He has a business model where he buys textbooks from colleges. He has relations with colleges and professors, and so when they need to get rid of books, they call him. And he does really well, and I don't think he has any employees, definitely not a lot if he does, and his overhead is little. I think he could probably easily make $100,000 of profit a year. And I also think that another person, working 10 hours a day, selling $8 books that they got for a quarter could also make $100,000 a year, but you're going to be working 10-hour days every day. You need a team if you want to make a lot of money, like 5 figures profit,
Perfect. And right up that alley, so you mentioned having a team to go out and source for you. I know each state is a little bit different. Is there a certain way that you use the pay scale? How do you teach them on how to source, all that fun stuff?
You just take them with you and train them, right? And then just start letting them make the decisions. But generally for our thrift stores, we develop the routes. Like it's something that I've developed. On Mondays, I go to this store. On Tuesdays, I go to this store, then that one, or maybe I go every day to this one or whatever it is. And then you take them with you. You know, you have to develop relationships with the stores, like you were saying. So you're not just like somebody who's coming in to poach their books or whatever. You want them to like you, be the guy that, you know, buys a lot of books, you know, not takes their profitable books. And so you just have relations with the store. And so they do little things to favor you. You know, they might like be ready to put the books out, but they see that your competitor is there, so they don't put them out. Then your competitor leaves, then they roll the books out, you know? And so then you bring your workers with you and you just establish, hey, this is my worker, you know, and introduce them, you know, put them in the circuit, put them in play, and just have them run your routes, you know, if they're sourcing like that. And we pay hourly. I don't really recommend it for every situation. It just depends on what you have. A lot of people would be more motivated by commission. I think Brian Young does like $2 flat rate a book, and Nathan Holmquist also for their sourcers, which I think would work out really good if you had someone who has enough time to source books here and there, but not, you know, to understand the whole business or anything. Just paying them $2 a book. Also, most of our employees are friends and family. We have some non-friends and family employees. So, because that question always comes up, like the trust for hourly pay or just for the trust in general. You know, they're going to steal my secrets, you know. And so I always recommend to hire friends and family if possible, because they're going to care about your business more than a random person would. Not as much as you do, but more than a random person would.
Rockin'. And with that, do they each have their own FBA Scan app that they're using? Is it all under your account? Do they have different user like permissions, that kind of stuff?
So all the sourcers have a company phone and a scanner in their own app.
Nice. Looks like, what repricer are you using? If you are using one, are you happy with the results?
Yeah, very happy. We use repriceit.com. We've been with them since about the beginning. It's not the most elegant solution, and it has shortcomings, but I think everything does have shortcomings, especially because, you know, it's software based on someone else's rules, right? Amazon's rules. But it gets the job done for us. We're happy with the results, and the amount of work it requires from us and the price is perfect. So we have almost 50,000 active books at FBA, and I think we have an FBA subscription that reprices all of them 5 to 10 times a day for like $50 or $70 a month. And you can't beat that with a stick. Other places want $300, $500, 2% of your sales. You know, they would want, there's no even pricing available for me. It just says contact. So, you know, you're going to get it. But
Nice.
Reprice it's great. It works. So don't believe if you hear anyone talking mess, they probably just messed something up themselves without making sure that everything was going to work properly.
And when using the FBA Scan app, why do I always get a big red reject displayed on the top?
Man, this is like the most common question ever. So that's the default trigger settings. So when you get the app and you install it, and you don't make any trigger settings, it comes with some defaults. And obviously they're not the best settings. I think they're probably set for like merchant fulfilling books, because I don't think the guys at FBA Scan are booksellers anymore. But a long time ago they were. They made the software for themselves way back in the day, and then eventually just started selling it to others. But long story short, just ignore the buy and reject sign, or go into the advanced trigger settings and set them up yourself to what meets your likings. And then you will have it, you know, you could even change the color of the reject or buy sign, and you could even make it say whatever you want on the screen. Everyone always wants to ask me, you know, what's your trigger settings? And really, I don't use them. I just look at the screen, unless I'm in a high-paced environment like a book sale, where I would just set it to say, alert me like audio in the headphones if it was worth 50 cents or more or something like that. Then I would just throw all those in the bag as fast as possible and double check them like visually, you know, including camel and everything before I left, to make sure I didn't buy any crap. But generally, when you're not strapped for time, you're probably going to be looking at the screen a lot.
Awesome. And for everyone on the call, it's going to be, looks like we're getting towards the bottom of the question. So if you have questions, hop over to the chat, drop that below, and we'll get those answered. Can you speak about condition you list your books at? Is there anything that's realistic? Are you shooting for a specific condition, like new, etc.?
I condition the books as they are. Not main thing. I think a lot of people get caught up in is trying to push the condition, trying to upgrade it and say, this isn't good, this is very good. Well, it's probably good. If you're not sure, go down a condition. Do not go up. Especially if you were to take the time and look at the price difference. Oftentimes there's probably no price difference in the better condition or the worse condition. So you're really only just increasing your chances of having a dissatisfied customer. Most of the books we sell are very good or good, with a far majority being very good. There's some like news, not very many new books, and a small amount of acceptable books.
Nice. Under promise, over deliver, right?
Oh, always.
Looks like, ooh, this is the ultimate question. Android or iPhone?
I've never had an Android phone, so the closest I got was I had a Nook that had an Android mod on it or something. It was kind of cool. The touchscreen wasn't as sexy and responsive as my iPhone, though. So
there's your answer, guys. What are your thoughts on sourcing vinyls and cassettes?
It's actually pretty cool. They both sell. They both still sell well. If they have a barcode, scan it. If they don't have a barcode, use Flow in the Amazon Seller app to visually search the item and make sure that you're looking at the cassette or the record, especially the records, because they're square just like a CD and it'll have the same art. 90% of the time the CD comes up. But there's also this website, PopPsych, POPSIKE.com. That's for record collectors, and it just keeps track of historical prices that things have sold for. So you can use that to kind of gauge, is this Amazon price realistic, especially if you can't see any information on Keepa or eBay completed sales. For records, you want to visually look at them. If it looks great, if it looks perfect, it probably is perfect. You want to rub your hand on the surface of the record on both sides. If you can feel the scratch that you can see, if you can feel it with your hand, it's probably scratched and it would skip, meaning it's not worth any money anymore. And unless, I'm not like a educated record person, so I'm sure some are still worth money as collectible factor or whatever. But as far as being listened to play it back, you can't play it back if it has a skip. You could bring a little portable record player with you if that was your forte, but I think just, give it the visual with the hand once over. And then tapes. I have a little bit of experience with selling tapes. So just send tapes off, just assume it's good and it works good if everything looks good. But if the silk screen printing on the cassette tape is rubbed off, like this has been played a lot and loved by someone to where, you can't even read the label really on the tape, you better put that thing in the boombox and test it, because chances are they probably played the hell out of it and you're going to get a return if you sell it when it finally sells. Nice.
Got some info on that stuff. Next up, I missed one above here. Have you had anyone work for you? Of course, this is a common question. Have you ever had anyone work for you, you educate them, and then they leave? That way they can start their own business.
So no, but I get this question a lot. This is the first question people ask me usually. And the thing is that most people are at best wantrepreneurs. They're not entrepreneurs. So you could tell, like I said, I taught 10 of my friends the recipe, and only 2 or 3 of them held it up. So most people, they really just want a little bit of money until they want a little bit more money. They're not really concerned with success in the large scale. Mm-hmm. And they really relish, the weekends, and they hate Mondays, but they love the fact that when they're off work, they're off work. They're not at work thinking about work. They're at work thinking about what they want to do when they get off work. And they get off work, and it's not work. Entrepreneur life, it's not like that. You get off work, you don't get off work, you're still at work. Me and Scott might call each other, like in bed, call each other, and have a freaking 45-minute business conversation. It's ridiculous. So the long story of it is that you're just being scared, and rightly so, because you're trying to protect yourself or whatever, but you're an entrepreneur and they're workers. So it's not likely that they're going to take your idea, nor do they have the free time or money. They might have the money to go buy books to sell them, but they don't have the free time to not have any money coming in for 2 weeks or a month while they get everything set up, nor do they know, do they want to get a tax license and set up a business bank account, and you're probably just over worrying yourself.
Nailed it. 24/7. Regarding condition notes, do you get extra detailed about the book's condition, or do you have a default note for each condition?
Default condition notes, boilerplate description. So we use ScanLister to list books, and it has all of our pre-saved condition notes in there. You just pick which one. Most of them are associated with conditions, so you don't even have to pick a note. You just pick very good condition, and it automatically switches to the standard description you use for your very good books.
And is that typically just a short four-word deal? Is it a 2 sentence?
Oh, no. It's so we're not describing books. We're not at all going like has some markings or front fold crease in the back. Like I know some people have like little their software when they list books, they can click and add like dog-eared, yellow, whatever. So we just have things that say like may contain markings or highlights for good condition. And then, right after that, fulfilled by Amazon, receive your order in 3 to 5 days, yada, 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 whatever. And then, for very good, it just says, I don't even know. I think it might just say the latter half of what I just said without even any note on it at all. Or it says, a great and excellent copy or something. And then like new just says, impeccable, giftable condition or something, something like that. But definitely not describing any actual details about books. And even when I have a auto type message thing, when people message me and they're like, hey, can you verify that this book, what's the condition of this? Does it have dog ears? And I'm just like, well, look, our items are at Amazon, so I can't go physically check them out, but we adhere highly to Amazon's condition guidelines. So go ahead and order it. And if you're unhappy, I'll just give you your money back.
Awesome. And it looks like we had 2 questions that were kind of answered earlier. So go back and watch the recording, guys. Do you have a minimum profit, and what rank do you stay under? We already covered those. Do you check for first edition and author signatures? Is it worth your time?
It probably is worth my time, but I'm not that educated about it. So when I do see a signature, I do look it up. I have not found very many signatures worth much. I have a early Madeline L. Engel, I think that's how you say it, book, and she signed it, and I've had it listed forever. And it might sell for like 150 someday, but I don't have a lot of experience with that. First editions, I do have a little bit of experience with selling first edition Harry Potter books. That's about it. First American editions.
Nice. Do you do any PL? Is that something on your radar?
We actually did launch our first private label product this year.
Nice.
Mostly a learning experience, a lot less of a success. We spent way too much money and bought too many units, and they are too large, and the per unit price cost us such that like it's cost prohibitive to give away a bunch of units to get reviews. So in the last 3 months, I think we've sold like 30 units or so, but I have 470 left. I'm hoping it will snowball, but I definitely learned a lot about what not to do. And so, we're trying to crack that egg. Not doing so well yet, but hopefully we'll get there.
Q4 is coming, right?
Yeah, definitely.
What are your guidelines for setting your repricer?
Really, we like right now it's August textbook season. During the high activity times on Amazon, we price more aggressively for the buy box just because there's more eyes on the website. So I want to occupy that buy box more than I normally would. Obviously at the expense of losing some revenue because you're going to be repricing more, but it's totally worth it. I don't think I could go into our reprice it settings. What I could say is that Nathan Holmquist wrote from booktothefuture.com. He wrote an article about his reprice it settings, and it's very similar to mine. Mine are a little bit less aggressive than his, but I think he might have updated his after I spoke with him. So you can go check out that article and view it. One of the cool things we do with our repricer that a lot of people don't do and some people frown upon is we use our repricer to price our books initially. So we upload our books in bulk at a very high price, like $1,000, and then we let our repricer run through and bring them all down to realistic sell price. And then that's very aggressive, obviously. And then after that, a much less aggressive daily template that prices everything.
Nice, good info. Found a great place for sourcing books, but unfortunately they have put extremely sticky round colored stickers on the back near the top corner, about the size of a dime. Goo Gone and Scotty Peeler sometimes don't even work and damage the book slightly. Can you leave a small sticker on and add it in the description?
If the book looks great, especially if it's a textbook, I would just leave it on there and not say anything. Students really are not picky at all. I didn't realize this until I did a semester in college, but I saw the books at the bookstore that they were renting, and these are books I would never sell. If there was a condition below acceptable, I wouldn't even list them as that. And these things were like cover falling off, like comes with duct tape so you can tape it back on. Yeah, you know, just if it's something you can't get it off the book and it's ugly, maybe put another sticker over it that says thank you, or there's a lot of stuff. Have you tried lighter fluid or alcohol? Let me see. Goo Gone, Scotty Pillar. Yeah, try some other chemicals, lighter fluid or something. We don't really have to take much stuff off of our books, so we just use alcohol when needed. Sometimes goo be gone, but try not to use it because it makes such a mess. It's so oily.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, what do we got?
Yeah, reading through some of those too.
Why do some books have the used buy box and others don't? I don't know. It's all Amazon's algorithm, but generally if you are competitively priced with the buy box offer, you should be rotated into that buy box with them.
Nobody understands how that works.
Oh, you'd be a billionaire if you did.
Somebody asked, where are you from?
I live in Northern California.
And then I know it's hard to get new textbooks cheap. How high would you pay for a like new textbook that sells for around $80?
It all depends. It's like, what's the rank? You know, if this is a book that's definitely going to sell tomorrow, and let's just assume it sells for 80 and 80 puts $70 in the bank. If it's definitely going to sell, I'll buy it for 60. I mean, it's definitely going to sell. Why wouldn't you? You know, if you don't do anything with your money, it's going to lose value overnight just from inflation.
Yeah, absolutely.
You might as well invest it into something that's going to, you know, I hate to say like I make one penny I buy or whatever, but if it's a for sure in a perfect world, you know, and it's a for sure sale.
Trying to find the line of mute. There we go.
That question is hard to answer too, because it just depends. You know, what if you could get that book for 60 and make $20, but at the same time you could go to Marshall's and buy 3 pairs of shoes, and that's the only $60 you have. You should probably go to Marshall's and buy 3 pairs of shoes.
That's an excellent point right there. My wife and I do this together, and we've hit several scenarios where it's like I can spend $100 and make 50. or on one item, or I can do the same thing like you just said, go buy multiple items for $100 and make 300 or 400.
Right. And the other thing about that, it's not even the cash flow. It is a cash flow issue, obviously, but it's also just a diversification issue. You know, you're hedging your bet by having 3 pairs of shoes instead of one widget, you know, one book, you know, one item.
Yeah, exactly. One of my favorite things I was ever told in my first 2 weeks is go wide, not deep, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Do you take off the Goodwill stickers on books?
Not unless it has a price on it. And even then, if it just depends, how long is it taking you to take them off, and can you get a sticker for cheaper to put on top of it?
Yeah, that goes right along. Ricky Analog said we cover them with thank you stickers that are the exact same stickers the Goodwills.
Yeah, that's my business partner.
Oh, nice.
Look at him. He's blushing.
That's awesome. I saw your video about not polybagging your books. Do you polybag hard books with dust cover, and do you label the book or on the outside of the bag after bagging?
No polybags ever. If I had like an extremely valuable new book, and I might put it in a bag or something, but generally no polybagging at all ever. And we always put the sticker directly on the book, even if it's on the dust jacket. And we just use the cheapest stickers we can get, not removable ones. I know some people fret about that, saying you should use removable stickers or whatever. But for the 1 out of 1,000 feedbacks left that someone says something about, you know, there was a sticker on it, I could care less.
I'm right there with you on that one. All right, looks like that's the end of the chat questions. If you guys have any more, this is going to be your last call to drop your comments below.
We got one here.
Shipping process?
Yeah. So we like to process our books in bulk as fast as possible, or at least the way that we would like to think is as fast as possible. And we kind of have a open challenge for anyone that wants to see if they can process books faster. I would love to know any way that's faster, but we generally do like 300 to 500 book shipments, and we have long tables, like foldable tables that you might get at Costco or whatever, 6 or 8 foot tables, line them up in a line. And we condition all our books into stacks on the table. So the new over here, like new, very good, acceptable. And then we go over an open scan lister, and we use a barcode scanner on an extension cord or a Bluetooth scanner, whatever you have. I like to use Bluetooth as little as possible because it causes headaches for less technical employees. So you go over to scan lister, grab your thing, go back to your desk where you have all your books, beep, 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 scan them as fast as you can while flipping them over. Then when you get done, make your shipment in Amazon, print out your stickers, the 30 up labels is what we like to use, and then go through your books that are on the table and sticker them all as fast as possible. Then when everything's stickered, just throw them in boxes, pack them up, weigh them, take them to UPS and drop them off.
And with that, like I said, we've only done one larger load, which was the bigger load of 5,000. I know the big thing I don't know why it took me so long to figure it out, but I had stacks and stacks of books that I had scrambled up the order. Now, I didn't realize that Amazon prints off those labels pretty much in order that you stack them in to begin with.
Yep.
So when you flip them, make sure you're not mixing them up.
Right. Yeah. That's one thing is a lot of people are always like, well, the books are out of order. And I'm just like, no, they're not. They're in order.
Yep.
You just mix them up. And it's like, it's a 2-part process because you can mix it up while you're scanning it and while you're stickering it. So you need to make sure that you're processing it, left to right, back to front or whatever consistently. So they're in the same. A huge tip that I didn't know for the longest time is that if you get lost and you can't find the book or the sticker or whatever, don't look for a book in a pile. Just look at the book on the top of the pile, then go back to the PDF and Control F or Command F if you're on a Mac and search the PDF for that book title. And it will show you, it's on page 2, center column, 4th down. And then if you numbered your pages when you printed them out, which you should, go back to that page and then grab the label, sticker the book, and then boom, you're right on track with the next one right after it.
Awesome. That one took me a while to figure out too.
Yeah,
trial and error.
I wasted I paid people countless hours to sticker books that could have been done 5 times as fast.
Tell people how easy it is to get bad feedback removed.
Okay, so back in the day, it was really hard. Now it's pretty much automated, and I don't know the full rhyme and reason of it. It's kind of like gray hat-ish, I'm sure, or you could take it there or whatever. But you just go contact seller support, problem with an order, put in the order ID that has bad feedback, and then choose, customer feedback removal, and then click the next button. And if it qualifies to be removed automatically through their system, it will get removed right there. Boom, done. If not, they want you to provide information and then further submit it. So anytime I get a bad feedback, I don't care what the reason was. Any bad feedback I get, I run it through there to see if it will automatically get removed. If it does, great. If it doesn't, I'll submit a little comment that says something. Maybe I'll say it's a FBA's fault or whatever it is. And even if it's my fault, half the time those ones that I put the message for will get removed also. So really you're getting 75% of your bad feedback removed, which is amazing, especially if you use a service like Feedback Genius, we do, to increase the amount of good feedback that you do get. So once in a while you get one bad feedback, it's going to get eclipsed by all the good feedback very quickly.
Absolutely. And for you, those of you visual learners, go to my YouTube channel, Rockstar Hustler, and I actually did a step-by-step on my screen, and I removed one live. I showed you exactly how to do that. And even on the ones that have same thing, I've had a couple that have been my fault, and all I put in there is our quality team is pristine with checking all of our inventory, and I can assure that this was not our mistake, even if it was. And we've had almost every single one removed that way. So I love that you brought that up.
Awesome. From Dixon, sounds like you don't flip through books to check for highlights or markings. We do. We condition all our books. That's what I said. When you condition your books into piles on tables, you're removing them from the boxes or bags, however you acquired them, placing them on the table. It should take you about a second to decide the condition of a book.
And do you do all of this in one cent? You mentioned you have 3 different locations. Do you do most of this in one warehouse?
No, we got three warehouses operating at least 5 days a week, each one. But we have employees buying books every day of the year.
Saw this one earlier. I don't know where it went. Where did I miss that? There was one about the packing slip that's going to be mandatory on the 1st of November.
Yeah, so Amazon is introducing mandatory box contents.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to submit a file that tells them what is in every box. And this sucks. But the way to get around it is there's a couple ways. There's some software. I had my brother write a software for us that we're using to do it, that we just scan the items as we put them into the box, and it has a control sheet. So it's like box done, next box, then scan the books as you put them in the box or whatever. And so that works. Chris Green has a software. We might actually sell that software to people. I'm not sure yet. It's kind of unpolished at the moment. Chris Green of Scan Power has a solution that I think is $25 a month. There might be a couple more. So you can do one of those, or you can do it obviously the hard way, filling out your spreadsheet yourself for each and every box you pack, which I can't see how it's not going to ruin your workflow. Or you can do what a lot of people have decided to do, which is to just make single box shipments. So if it's a single box, you don't have to provide box contents because obviously everything that's in that box is on the manifest. Again, I feel like that's going to slow your workflow down massively because I'm a big fan of making 500 book shipments because I know it reduces the amount of times you have to, touch the mouse, get on the computer, go to the printer, etc. It's going to be interesting to see what happens, but it's definitely fun. But it's going to be mandatory starting October 15th, I think.
November 1st.
November 1st? Yeah, and they're going to start charging you 15 cents per unit that arrives without having that in there.
Yeah. So you guys kind of have to weigh out, like if you're just, if you're brand new, you're sending in a couple things a week, it's not a big deal to fill out the Excel sheet. But again, I'm a big fan of paying for convenience if it saves time. So
Oh, definitely.
there's so many options that are going to be out there.
From Julie, have you looked into the cost of a scanning software that gives you a green light or red light instead of a price? That way employees don't know the cost of the books. So FBA Scan, the app that we use that I've been mentioning, they have that in the product in the options. It's called hidden mode. And when you enable it, it blocks the prices and the rank so that employees can't see anything. And it will just say buy or don't buy, red or green. And again, you can change the color of that to be purple or blue, or to say whatever you need it to say. Maybe you want to say check rank, because it's a marginal book or something. I don't know. Whatever you come up with, you can tailor that to your needs. It's not perfect, but you could either overbuy or underbuy if you're doing hidden mode. Depending on the prices that you're paying, I suggest probably underbuying. You're going to miss out some, and that's just the limitation of Amazon not allowing full access to the data to the scanning apps. Yeah, hidden mode is in FBA Scan. No problem, Julie. Let's see.
We hit the
questions. You got anything we haven't talked about, Scott, that we should talk about?
Yeah, if you guys have any extra topics or anything related to books that we haven't touched, go ahead and drop those below.
Yeah, I'm just scanning through these chat questions here.
Do you buy CDs?
Oh, sweet. Yeah, definitely buy CDs. I've always bought CDs, but I never really focused on them much. And I always would be bummed out when a CD was scratched because I'm like, oh, this is, I know it can be fixed. It's just, how much isn't there going to charge me $2 to take it to the place that fixes them, which we don't even have one in town anymore. And so, I have like backlog of valuable CDs that are scratched to hell that I would clean someday, and I never had the time to figure out what machine would work the best and how much it would cost. And, they all seemed either to be the cheap ones would ruin all your discs, or the expensive ones were just, $5,000, $10,000. And eventually I met on Facebook a guy named James Callis who knew a lot about CD refurbishing. And he has a group too. I forget what it's called, Media Secrets or something. I don't know. But anyway, so I learned everything from him, what machines to use, how to do it, and took all of the guesswork out of it. So now we buy as much CDs as possible, and we have a refurbishing machine that can do, what is it? It cleans a CD and a DVD in 30 seconds. And it costs about $1,000. It's called an Eco Pro 2. You can get them from an American company called Elm USA. And it's awesome because you can just take a disc that you're looking at it. If we look at CDs, right, and you're looking at the CD and it's just crap, right? It's acceptable. It's crap. The CD is milky and scratched. It's terrible, but it's $25 CD if it was in like new condition, Well, now you can clean it and make it like new and then swap. Lo and behold, the CD lives its life in a protective case. So you put the booklet and everything into a new CD case and it looks brand new. Like it's ridiculous. It's like if you do books, you might notice how when you take the clear cover off of a book from a library, how a book looks amazing after that. It's kind of like that. So here you have these CDs that are worthless and on their way to the dump, but now they look brand new. I mean, if you wanted to be fiendish, you could probably sell them as new. That's how good they look. And so that's a small part of our business currently that we're hoping to ramp up.
Nice. That's good to know. We're pretty heavy into video games, so you can actually use pretty much the exact same system to clean up your video games too.
Yeah. Liquidating bad books. So when you buy large amounts of books and you bought them already and you have them and they're not worth selling on Amazon, you can try to group them into similar categories and lots and sell them on eBay. So maybe it's kids books, maybe it's mysteries, maybe it's Stephen King books. And you put 5 or 6 of them together and then you can sell them. Maybe it's 5 books about 5 different cookbooks, you know, whatever. They're not worth money on Amazon, but someone wants to read about that. And if you put, you know, a nice selection together, they might buy them off eBay. Secondary way would be taking them to a used bookstore. So you can sell them, you know, most bookstores, they'll buy, like your local used bookstores, they're going to buy some books from you that you couldn't sell for sure. And they can give you cash or store credit. You can use the store credit to buy more books to sell back on Amazon, which is pretty cool. And then there's always the like last stop for people, which is in California and in other places, we have a store called Half Price Books. They buy a ton of books. So they'll buy books that other people wouldn't buy. You're only going to get 5 cents or 10 cents for a book, but still it's better than nothing. And of course you could always donate them to get your purchase cost back and offset your expenses, you know, or your profits, whatever. I hate taxes.
How often do you yourself go out and source?
As much as possible.
Do you have a set schedule, or how are you working that?
I don't have a set schedule. I pretty much just run my life around my family's needs, which college just started back up for my wife. So my schedule is a little bit more hectic. In summer, we had softball for my daughter traveling all over. And so I was doing a little bit of travel sourcing. But generally, I have several thrift stores in my town that I will hit myself at least 2 times a week, each one, maybe 3 or 4. It just depends on what my schedule is and where I'm at. I always keep a scanner in my car, and I obviously always have my phone with me. So if I find myself in some certain situation, you know, my wife's like, oh, we're going to go do this and this. And I'm like, let me out of the car. I'm going to go to this thrift store, pick me up in an hour. Just, I have employees doing most of my regular routine sourcing. So for books anyways. And so I'll source some thrift stores on the side, and then I'll go and do retail arbitrage.
Rockin'. Well, I think you answered every single question. Sweet. Well, we'll go ahead and wrap this up since we're over an hour. Thank you so much for hopping on here. I know I appreciate your time. I know everyone else does. So this recording will be posted on my channel. I can get you the recording as well, post on your channel.
Nice.
Again, all the links that we mentioned, we'll just load information down below on the description, so check that out. Aside from that, you guys have an awesome day. Peace out, crew. We'll see you later.
Peace.